better place. We are smart at what we do to make our world a better place. By the help of God, to make our world a better place. By the help of God, to make our world a better place. Smart do.
How are you, students? I hope you're good. Today we are going to discuss the factorization of expression. In our previous lesson, we expanded the expressions. So now we are going to do the factorization. And in simple terms, you are supposed to note that you have an NB. You are supposed to know that factorization is simply the opposite. It is the opposite of expansion. It is the opposite of expansion. And because you know that, it becomes now easier for you. So the first thing you're supposed to know that in this topic on the factorization, you are supposed to use a formula that we call, so we have a formula or a concept that you are supposed to know in your mind that we call it product sum method. These are very common method that is used when you're supposed to factorize. You can be given an example of the question and then you are supposed to factorize. In your mind, you are supposed to know that when you are supposed to factorize, you are supposed to use the product sum method. The first method or the common method is the one that you're going to use in this topic. So let's have an example. So example 1. So you can be given a question like 6x squared minus x minus 12. And then you are being told factorize. In your notebook, you're supposed to factorize this question. This expression. I said in the previous lesson, an expression has no equal sign. You can see it has no equal sign. There is nowhere we are saying is equals to 0 or is equals to pi, because it is an expression. That's why we are lacking an equal sign. So the first thing, so solution of the expression. So you are supposed to, we have said we are going to use the product sum method. So we take this one, 6x squared minus x minus 12, and then we have the product and we have the sum. So how are you supposed to get the product? You take the first coefficient or the first quantity or the first term, which is equals to 6x squared, and then we multiply by the last term. Our last term in this expression is equals to negative 12. Is equals to negative 12. So we multiply those two, and then is equals to what? So suppose we multiply, it becomes negative 72x squared. So the second one you take, because you have already taken the first term and the last term, so we are just remaining with the second term, and that becomes our sum. So is equals to negative 1x. So you have the product as negative 7x squared. You have the sum as negative x. So what are you supposed to do? Can you guess of two numbers? When you multiply them, you get negative 72, and then when you add them, you get negative x. Which are those two numbers I gave you? So suppose you will take the multiples of 9. So you can have 9 and 8. And then you ask yourself, suppose we multiply 9 times 8, it is 72, but it's not negative 72. So in your mind, you're supposed to know that if you multiply a number like positive, you multiply by negative, it becomes negative. So this is the idea that you are going to apply here, because we have to make the one of it to be negative. Which one is it? Because if you make negative 9 to be negative, it becomes, when you multiply negative 9 multiplied by 8, it becomes negative 72. That's good for you. But if you add negative 9 plus 8, is it negative 1x? Yeah. So, and then you put negative. you put negative 9x and positive, because I said earlier, if a number it has no sign, we assume that number, or we take that number to be a positive 8x. So we got our expression, Our expression is 6x squared minus x minus 12. So we want to go back to where we had started in our previous lesson. So you take the first term, write it, 6x squared, and then now you go to the two numbers that you have gotten as your cofactors. So you take negative, you take with their signs, because it's negative 9x, and then this is plus 8x, and then you go to the equation. Now you go to the last term. So when you are doing the factorization, you are taking the first term, you write it there, it's here. The second term and the third term, the two numbers that you have gotten, and then the last term, it becomes negative 12. So it becomes negative 12. So in this, we are not going to put the right term together, because we are being told to factorize. That's the question. So you write this question again. So we have 6x minus 9 plus 8x minus 12. So an example, we have reached there. So what are you supposed to do? Can you group them into two pairs? So because there are four, you group them into two pairs. Let me use another pen for your clarification. So we group them into two, then we group them into two. So what are you supposed to do? And then from there, can you factor what is common in that example? So what is common here? It's 3. We have 3x. 3x is common. And then when you take 3x, what remains here? It remains 2x. And then what remains here? It is negative 3. That is common. Because suppose you try to open up the bracket, it becomes 2 times 2, it becomes 6. X times x becomes x squared. And then you multiply 3x times, it becomes negative 9x. So you do the same to this one. So you ask yourself, what is common in this pair? What is common? Because you are supposed to make this bracket and the second bracket to be the same. So in your final answer, you are supposed to take just one, because they will be going to look similar to each other. So what's common here? We can say it is 4 plus 4, and then what remains here is equals to 2x minus 3 is equals to 2x minus 3. So I've said you are supposed to know that for you to factorize, this bracket must be similar to this bracket. So that on your final answer, you're going to take 1, because they look similar. So what you're supposed to do, you take this one, is equals to 3x. You take this one, what is outside the box of each bracket. So plus 4, and then you can close them into bracket. And then you have noticed that 2x minus 3, they are common, they are similar. So you just take one of them. So it becomes 2x minus 3. And then that will have the answer, because you have been told to factorize. And that's why I started by saying it's the opposite of expansion. It's the opposite of expansion. So I said you were supposed to use the product sum method. What we have done here is product sum method. That's the method that you are supposed to use when you are factorizing. Because I've said it's the opposite of expansion. Suppose we expand this one, we are going to go back to here. Suppose we expand it. You can do that at your free time. Can you try to expand this one? You are going to observe that the whole of this one, you are going to observe that it's going to come back to there. That's why I said it's the opposite of expansion. You expand this one, it becomes back to this expression. So in your free time you can try, so you can have just like a small quiz. you can try to solve this one. You can try to have 9x squared plus 6xy plus 6xy plus y. You can try to factorize. So that is a quiz we're going to see, and then try to do some more examples as you interact with your question. Thank you. I hope you have enjoyed my class. Thank you.